What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning the IBF with Kubrat Pulev, Anthony Joshua, and all that jazz. We know that Anthony Joshua, Eddie Hearn, sat down with the co-promoter of Alexander Usyk for a potential fight this year for the WBO, to defend the WBO. We know this. So this is something that they're really looking into. We also know that if that happens, the IBF, if he vacates, the IBF becomes available. What does that really mean? That means the IBF, given who Kubrat Pulev fights for that title, if he wins that title, could go over to the hands of Deontay Wilder. Now, let me explain. Adam Kalnaki, he pulled out the Dominic Breazeale fight, which is something I didn't cover, which I'll cover later. Because it wasn't really big news to me, but it does link to this particular story. He left the Dominic Breazeale fight. Now, Adam Kalnaki got out of that fight because I think he's seen a bigger picture. Because he does have a scheduled fight in March, I believe. And then if he gets past that guy, then he could possibly fight because he's very high ranked on the WBO. I mean, the IBF. So if he can fight for that vacant belt, he could be a belt holder. If he can be a belt holder and can beat Pulev, which that would be a pretty good fight, mind you, because Pulev is, he has some heavy hands, and, Kalnaki is known to let his hands fly. And he is a tough guy, too. I think he's too tough, honestly, because he takes too many shots. But anyway, that would be a good fight with Pulev. But if he could get past Pulev, he will get that IBF belt. So then the IBF belt will then become, it will belong to a fighter, be held by a fighter that's a part of the PBC with Al Heyman. If that's the case, Deontay Wilder's going to jump on that like flies on shit, people. Okay? That would be his next. He couldn't get the unified with Andy Ruiz. I know why Deontay was so frustrated. Because he thought that, hey, all I got to do is beat Ruiz and get all these damn belts without even dealing with Eddie Hearn, which he hates so much and all that stuff. But this is the next best thing, right? He can then fight Kalnaki for it. More than likely, he'll knock Kalnaki out because, again, he gets hit too much. He gets hit with shots that he doesn't need to get hit. And he's slow. He's not Dominic Breazeale slow, but then they are really fast. He's a tad quicker than Dominic Breazeale, but that would be a dangerous fight for Kalnaki, but I'll get to that in another video. Deontay Wilder is, of course, looking for that opportunity. He's looking for that opportunity, and Deontay Wilder, when he finds out that's what it is, boom, that's going to be one of the fights. Adam Kalnaki was lined up to fight Deontay Wilder anyway. So if that's the case, if Kalnaki has a belt on the line, Deontay Wilder's coming. Deontay Wilder is playing catch up, people. That's what he's doing. He's playing catch up for the last 5 years. And he's trying to cram it all in this last 2. Because the last 2, he's been on a very fast-paced fight. It kind of slowed down because he did the same things twice, honestly. But he is fighting more sound opponents for the most part, to say the least. Right? But anyway, my counterpunch on this news of the IBF. If Eddie Hearn and Anthony Joshua decide to vacate the IBF, I think they'll be making a grave mistake. Why? Because it's harder to get the IBF belt back if it gets over there on that side of the street. Now we can look at that another way. Let's say everything works like we've planned out. Let's say Kalnaki gets past his next opponent, fights Pulev, gets past Pulev, and then fights Deontay Wilder, gets knocked out. Then Deontay Wilder has the WBC and the IBF. You know what that means? That means that if Joshua gets past everybody this year, including Usyk, if he fights Usyk, he will have the WBA and the WBO. Okay, so what does that mean? That means one person has 2 belts, the other person has 2 belts, but you can look at it like this. Let's look at it. This is chess, it's not checkers. Eddie Hearn has already spilt the beans on the 50-50, right? And that's given what happens next month. If he gets past Fury, they're considering 50-50, right? So if it's 50-50 anyway, I think what Eddie Hearn is saying is, you know what? Give up the IBF belt. Let somebody else get it. We'll get it on down the line. If Deontay Wilder gets it and we beat Deontay, we'll have all of them. You know, Deontay will have more, to the table. You know what I mean? He'll have more on the table at that point of time if he defeats all his opponents himself and gets that IBF belt himself. Then he will be looking at 2 belts. Then a lot of people then will argue, and of course they will, because they were arguing that he needs 50-50 with 1 fucking belt. So imagine if he had 2. So if he has 2, then people are really going to be like, look, he has 2 belts. Joshua has 2 belts. We guys need 50-50. You need to sit down at the table and split this up. That's what would probably more than likely happen. And I think Eddie Hearn is looking at the end result. Well, hey, winner takes all anyway if we can get that fight with Deontay Wilder. So who cares about the IBF if he doesn't want to have to deal with Bob Arum? Because Bob Arum has been doing a lot of hating lately. And in fact, Bob Arum, he's been hating ever since the Campbell-Lomachenko fight. Because after that fight, they had to work together to get that fight together, right? But ever since then, oh, Eddie don't know shit. I don't like Eddie. He was pissing in his pants when I was promoting. And so I don't think maybe Eddie wants to deal with Bob Arum. That might be one of those situations, because there's a reason why they're all of a sudden trying to sit down with Usyk to fight Usyk. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think about this theory, okay, of Deontay Wilder maybe ending up with the IBF belt. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.